don't believe the box that they put you in. But life is so short that you can't waste even a day subscribing to what someone thinks you can do versus knowing what you can do. And that's like the switch. It's like the switch in your head. If you can get to a place where you can act on that in the next hour after we're done speaking, I guarantee you it's a domino.
If Jesus was on the cross, you would probably nail him. If he wept holy water, you would probably sell it. If he confided sacred teachings, you would probably tell it. Bunch of bullshit is I ain't mad, but I just smell it. Went well to the max, so unfortunate. Body well toned, looking like porcelain. She chose up, I ain't forced her hand, but we slide us like Santa Claus again. Paid the cost to be the boss and the cost to jam. Opportunity was lost, but I caught him again. It's a spiritual war and I'm fighting to win. Not like to pretend, I speak on pretense. Lying be friend. I came to preach the truth to the youth, I'm tying it in. If you ride and get in, we sliding again. Man, we sliding again. Man, we sliding again. Man, we sliding again. We used to roll around with nowhere to go, like, hey man, where's the hoes? But now it ain't a drill no more. We can't grow, depending on our youth, and we still undeveloped. Walk around blind, nobody tell us. If he was on the cross, you would probably nail him. If he wept holy water, you would probably sell it. If he confided sacred teachers, you would probably tell it. Bunch of bullshitters, I ain't mad, but I just smell it. Instead of getting even, man, I'm compelling. And we sliding again. And we sliding again. And we sliding again. And we sliding again. And we sliding again.
You are now tapped in with the Hood Mystic.
You are now tapped in with Hood in the Morning.
waking up the masses. It's your baby mama's favorite astrologer.
Like, can I get 5 more minutes?
Scrape that crust off that third eye and tap in with Hood in the morning. From Atlantis to Egypt, you are now tapped in with the realest nigga on the internet, the Hood Mystic. The Hood Mystic.
Peace to the tribe, peace to the collective. Can I get some thumbs up if y'all can hear me? I don't want another fiasco as we had yesterday. Go ahead and like the video if you're here. Dislike it if you're a hater. We just need energy at this point, right? If you can hear me, give me some thumbs up. Give me some ones in the chat before I go any further. Don't want to be on here sounding crazy and looking crazy. Talking to nobody. Talking to myself. All right. Shout out to y'all, man. Thank y'all for tuning in, man. It is another episode of the Spirit Verse or Hood in the Morning, or just Kyrie on here talking shit in the morning. As promised, I said that I was going to do this video because this video was on my heart. This video is on my mind, and fortunately or unfortunately, it is on my tongue. So, peace to everybody. If you don't know, my name is Kyrie Anthony, the Hood Mystic. I'm an author, astrologer, overall cool ass motherfucker. Just out here living life, doing what I'm supposed to do, based upon following my soul. And I stress everybody to not feel pressured from the external world, to not be afraid, but to follow your soul. And I know that might sound like tongue-in-cheek or cliche, but it's so much people, in this life, right? It's people that are called literal influencers, right? They're trying to influence you to do things that your soul may not want you to do. So in the space of knowing what you should or knowing what you shouldn't do, we're talking about spiritual transformation. And in the context of spiritual transformation, I want you guys to understand it, right? The most difficult thing about spirituality is that people do not understand it. And if you do not understand spirituality, right, the same way if you don't understand how to cook, if you don't understand how to wipe your ass, right, your ability to understand something would be your ability to perform within and throughout it. So the reason why it's easy for me to get up on this platform daily is because the understanding of spirituality is something that is still being shot down the pike, because not our previous generation, their main priorities were get the bag, right? Secure the bag. And that's still a priority today. But, most of us didn't grow up understanding Ashe, understanding Sage, right? Most of us grew up understanding fundamentalist Christian or Muslim or whatever structure religion or no religion at all. What I'm talking about is what they're talking about in Silicon Valley and in the government. I'm talking about the quantum world and quantum realities and understanding electromagnetic spectrums, visible light versus invisible light. And the majority of the light that exists within the world is invisible. So our ability to perceive and understand the invisible world, since the invisible creates the physical, right? What we see is just a small fraction of the totality of what could actually be seen in the present moment. So, I want to discuss some things, I want to help anybody who may or may not be struggling, but just enjoys having spiritual conversations like I do. So what prompted this conversation was Revelations chapter 21, verse 1 and 2. Not like I was Bible thumping, but I was watching my favorite show on TV, which is The Last of Us. And if you have noticed, in the past 3 episodes, there have been white rabbits. So shout out to White Rabbit Psychedelics. We about to have a new product. So if you want to know what that new product is, go to whiterabbitpsych.com, sign up to our email list. That email list will be coming out today, tomorrow, whenever I get the time. However, with that being said, watching The Last of Us, and there was a preacher named David, and those of you know or may not know, I have an alter ego named David. I really respond and resonate with the energy of David. But he was reading out of Revelation chapter 21, verse 1. And Revelation is one of my favorite chapters in the Bible because it's very esoteric, it's very spiritual if you understand what you're reading. So whenever I open up Revelation, I'm able, not like I'm able, like I have a special skill, but the text presents an opportunity. The whole Bible does, right? But specifically Revelation gives you an opportunity to kind of dive deep into the text, right? Because Revelation, contrary to popular opinion, is about the revelation of the reality of the invisible light, and you are being able to perceive the invisible light. So what I want to preface is that a human being, and this is education, right? This is just me trying to teach. So you would have to be prepared to be able to learn, right? Because the reason why you wouldn't have a mind to learn is because you are satisfied with the visible light, right? But if I told you the visible light is not even 0.5% of 1% of what you actually could see in this moment. So in order for you to see it and comprehend it, you gotta kind of take your time with it, right? And it's expansive, but you need to understand it. Now, those who are watching, comment if you will. Do y'all understand that, right? Do y'all understand that the spiritual world has less to do with who has the most views on YouTube or who has a great course, but more to do with how much you can see the invisible light spectrum or the spiritual world, which is running simultaneously to the visible light, right? You would have to specifically have a heart, right? Like you would have to have a desire to want to see, right? And this is why I love these 2 verses, because they specifically start off with, then I saw, right? And so this is what I mean by looking deeper into things, because you could read those 3 letters and not get into the science of how deep it is, not get into the science of how profound those 3 words are. Because to see for us is to look within the visible light spectrum. But once again, looking in the visible light spectrum is not actually seeing. It's not actually seen. Your mom and dad, they could have a nice house, right? Nice car, have a nice life, friends, everything. You start talking about meditation and raising Kundalini, they have no time for it because everything for which they see within the visible light spectrum is good enough for them, right? So the people who see don't actually see. To see means you got to kind of look deep, means that you got to kind of understand. To see something, you need to understand it. Right? And I'll get into this a little later in my next slide. But I just want to be clear about some things before we get into that. But that is a deep sentence. Even more so, it is said twice. So what we'll see in verse 2 is that it starts out the same way, right? Talking about a new heaven and a new earth. So there's some rules when you're reading the Bible. It is not talking about anything external. Do you understand that, right? Do you understand when you read and understand spiritual text, it can't be talking about anything except the invisible light spectrum that represents you entirely. So a new heaven and the new earth, for a new heaven and a new earth, which represents a new mind and a new body. For the first heaven or the old heaven or the old mind and the first earth or the first body had passed away, and there was no longer any sea. So you can read that 1,000 times. Your preacher, your reverend can read that, and y'all thinking, what's going to happen with heaven and earth? It's going to die. And then, no, this talking about a metaphysical reality that takes place when you're having a spiritual transformation. And these are not even the main parts of this verse. The main parts of this verse is that there was no longer any sea. Because the reason that there is no longer any sea is the reason for the new heaven and new earth to be created. But then again, what is the sea? The sea is the emotions, right? So the problem with many people is that they're too emotional to be spiritual, and they could be extremely successful. They could be extremely powerful, spiritually gifted people that don't fully accept their gifts because they're trapped in an emotional prison, in emotional slavery called emotional reactions, and wanting to save the people, and wanting to save black people, and wanting to save black women, and wanting to save black children, and fighting and all of this shit, right? And all of it means, when you boil it down to the base metals, is that they cannot tap into spiritual transformation, meaning that they can't see beyond or understand the reality. They can't understand the reality beyond the visible light spectrum, because in order to be in the present moment, you have to understand the present moment outside of your emotions. Okay, what are you talking about, Kyrie? Can you break this down a little bit further for me? Because I don't fully understand. Well, y'all help me out in the chat. Does it matter how you feel pertaining to what you're experiencing in the rainforest in Cuba? Yes or no? Does it alter somehow a parrot flying in a rainforest? How you feel about your baby dad? How you feel about your dad? How you feel about the government? Does that stop a plane from taking off? Is it a plane stopping, going to Paris right now because your daddy didn't love you? Yes or no? When you begin to understand the world, you cannot begin to understand it as a whole, as a manifestation jump off point if you feel in some type of way. So how you feel about your experience down here is the literal prison that binds you to the 3D reality. Because if I couldn't conceive of it, if I couldn't even imagine it was happening, it's something that happened in Mexico and I'm in Ohio. What can I do about it? Do I empathize? Of course. Do I help and do I love? Of course. But I take care of what I can take care of. And outside of that, there is no emotional. Because if I wasn't scrolling down my IG feed, if nobody didn't call me and tell me, if I didn't read it in the newspaper, if I didn't look at Google, I would have never even knew it happened. So then you look at why these systems exist to deal with your emotions and have you feel in a certain type of way. Right now, millions upon billions of people are tied into emotional stance that when they exit the body, the consciousness is going to be like, what the fuck was that about? Dog, you were sitting here fighting for rights and we are spiritual beings. Rights? You didn't do no spiritual transformation work. When you fight, right, and you are protesting and you are going against the system and going against the government, you also saying, I don't understand. I don't get it. And the reason why is that emotions are the part of us that is a hormonal. I need y'all to listen to this and understand. Your emotions are a hormonal reaction. It's an internal reaction. This is why it's such thing as mob mentalities, right? I don't even know why I was acting that way. He was acting that, and because it's an emotional reaction, then the emotions take over the mental and the logical. Every time your boyfriend get mad at you, what do you come back and say? Baby, I'm sorry. I ain't mean to do that. I done took you to Cancun. I done ate your groceries. I ain't mean to hurt you, baby. I love you. Come here, give me a kiss. You forgive me? I'm sorry. Every time your girl get mad at you, baby, I'm so sorry. I called your mama ain't shit bitch. I love your mama. I'm so sorry. Our emotions constantly fuck us up, take us out of relationships, careers, our peace, our ability to sit the fuck down and learn and improve our lives. I don't feel like it. I'm bored. Grown ass people. So when it comes to transforming and understanding the spiritual world, to get into the mastering of your hormonal reaction to just your life in general and begin to look at life as a whole, as an objective point of view, because the reality of consciousness, my consciousness, your consciousness, her consciousness, your son's consciousness, it's an invisible light spectrum that sees all, knows all, and is all. And this is the aspect of us for which we do not have to micromanage. We just have to reflect upon it which is not emotional, right? Because the emotions come from the small visible spectrum. The emotions come from the neighborhood. The emotions come from the home, right? So it's a home on the block, right? Do you know what's going on in that home? Can you see what's happening inside that home? No. It's just a home. But then it's like, I'm in St. Louis. I'm not in the house of St. Louis. I'm in the city, the ambiance of St. Louis. I'm going to the Arch, right? But it could be somebody having an argument in the house down the street. So their experience of St. Louis is, this person is an argumentative person and I can't stand it here. My experience of St. Louis is the Arch. We both in St. Louis having different situations. Just because I don't see the argument, just because he don't see the Arch, I can't then say the Arch don't exist because I don't see it. I can't say you don't argue in St. Louis because I don't see it. But black people say the spiritual world don't exist because I don't see it. You see how that works? You understand that? One's in the chat if you understand that. I don't see it because I don't understand it. Because how I feel is my paradigm. And if I just master my paradigm, if I just get me an apartment, if I just get me a BBL, if I just get me some Christian Louboutins, if I just go to Miami, I'm going to feel better. My life going to be better. And I'm going to get some understanding. No, you're not. You're going to be trapped in that emotional prison. You got to actually detach from the visible light spectrum. Completely detach from the visible light spectrum and tap into the all, the part of you that knows. How do you know if it knows? Because you listen to it and you follow it, and it's gotten you to a place that you then think back, if I wouldn't follow my soul, I would not be here. So it's never a bad relationship. It's never a bad job. It's never a bad decision. Might be a lesson or two. But at the end of the day, you feel good about the decisions that you make because you are following your soul, because you know your soul is there. And you know that there's a lot of stuff that's happening beyond your perception, right? So two things can happen at the same time, right? Two things can happen at the same time. And just because you don't see it, don't mean it's not existent. So just because you can't perceive your ancestors fighting for you, Ashe, just because you can't see your guardian angel protecting you, Ashe, just because you can't actually hear your soul leading you, that don't mean it's not there. And I would wager you that it is there. If you give your time to sit back and understand and perceive it outside of your emotions. Very key. You do not get the new heaven and new earth with the sea, because part of it is no longer being any sea. So your emotions are tied into your astral body or your lunar body. You got to get these intact, right? You got to kind of feel a little bit stoic. You got to feel really pragmatic. You got to feel like I've really made the best decision for me and I wasn't fucking lazy, right? I got up off my ass and I did the thing. Why? Because what I'll talk about next is that you can literally, you know how they say you can do anything? That's not necessarily true. Because you can't, you know what I'm saying? I want a threesome right now. Like right now, I can't do that right now because I'm on live, right? There's no way, I'm by myself too. So there's literally no way I can have a threesome. So I can't do anything. I can think about a threesome. Shit, I can think about a 28-some if I wanted to. Right? Nothing's stopping me from thinking. So if I can sit here and think about having a 28-some with, the baddest chicks with BBLs, you know what I'm saying? Just mad rubbery in this, like just a rubbery situation, right? Why then do I think of myself, or can I think of myself as an ain't shit person, as a lowlife, as a no good person, or somebody who is defeated, or somebody that is lost, somebody who is less than, right? And I'm saying this to the people who think negative of themselves. And I need you to understand that is a figment of your imagination, right? Because you can think anything and there is no boundaries into what you can think, you've allowed yourself to think negatively so much about yourself that now you believe it to be true. So you got to kind of get a grip on your solar self, your physical self, and your lunar self, your invisible self, your waking self, and your sleeping self. And we'll talk about that at the end. But as I was saying, you can think anything. There is no limits to thought. So when you find yourself thinking negatively as an adult, you got to kind of ring that shit in. You got to rein that shit in. So I'm going to try to attempt to give you a instruction manual of what you should think about. Sometimes we think we should think about a lover or a romantic partner or a husband or a wife or a girlfriend or a boyfriend. We think we should think about those people, but that's cap. Because if you do not love your soul with all of the deepness that you have, to understand that your soul loves you in an unconditional manner, you are going, not to say you're going to not be in relationships, you're going to be in relationships, but those relationships are going to be conditional places. If you eating your groceries the right way, then it's cool. If he not disturbing your peace, then it's cool. If he not cheating on you, then it's cool, right? But your soul didn't ever say, if you have a one night stand, I ain't fucking with you. Do y'all understand that? One's in the chat. Your soul didn't say, if these dudes run a train on you, I'm not fucking with you no more. No, it didn't say that, did it? It still fuck with you in your lowest of lows. So then you double back and then act like, okay, well, this nigga better treat me like a goddamn queen. Or else, right? Or else your soul don't treat you like that. But if you don't have a relationship with your soul, then you are going to treat men, you are going to treat women conditionally. And this is just how people are, right? If you got somebody that love you unconditionally, dog, congratulations, dog. If you got somebody that loves you no matter what you do, congratulations, because you ain't about to find that in this world. Because people don't know the way, people can't fathom it, right? They can't wrap their mind around unconditional love because nobody loved them unconditionally, right? But that's where they wrong. That's where you're wrong. Your soul has loved you unconditionally up until this point because your soul is the differentiator on whether you're alive or not. whether you have good health or not, whether you have good mental and emotional health or not. Y'all be riding around with dope. Y'all be holding guns for dudes, right? Your soul is the people that keep the police away from kicking in your door. Just cause you love the nigga, right? Done did some dumb shit for the dude, riding around the city, dope all in your coochie. And you can live to talk about that stupid ass shit, and you ain't never even realized, like, damn, my soul been looking out for my dumb ass the whole time. Hey, babe, you think you can drive this car while I rob this bank? You so goddamn digmatized. Yeah, baby, we gonna be like Bonnie and Clyde. Yeah. Just so happen you got away with that shit by the skin of your teeth. Your fucking ancestors, guardian angels looking at your dumb ass like, girl, let Roscoe's ass go. You love Roscoe. Your soul done saved you for so many niggas, so many negative situations for which you still be sitting back like, damn, I really miss that nigga. Like, even if you got that nigga back, what's gonna happen? You know what's crazy? A girl can cheat on you and you would be still thinking about her. You can't talk about it though, because you ain't want to look crazy to your friends. You talking about back alley Julie? Yeah, man, I still love her, man. She was the only one that I could actually laugh with. You know what I mean? Like, back alley. Her name is Back Alley Julie, man. Like, that's her Yeah, I know, man, but it's deeper than that. What I'm talking about is you will find yourself in romantic peril. You even say shit like, man, I don't even want to be in a relationship no more. I'm going to be single for the rest of my life, right? Because the past is so visceral, the past is so traumatic that you allow it to destroy your present and your future. One's in the chat, if you know older people, that's just like, you know what, they get to past the point where they like, you know, I ain't even going to even try no more. But then it's also people who say, you know what, I'm going to try. And then them is the people that usually find love. When they open their hearts to it, you know your aunties they ain't gonna never find nobody. Then you know your aunties that's gonna come to the cookout with some old nigga, a new old nigga with a silk shirt on, button up the top, talking about, hey, young blood, matching hat, matching shirt, matching short set. So it ain't no age thing. We know everybody in this chat room got an auntie that be still pulling niggas. One's in the chat. Some of y'all even got mamas like that, but I'm gonna leave that conversation alone. I'm gonna leave that conversation alone. So, yesterday I talked about integrity, right? Integrity comes from the root word integer, which means a whole number, which comes from the word fraction, which means a fraction, right? So integrity means to be whole. What does that wholeness encapsulate for us? Since if you're following me, the wholeness is the understanding of the whole visible spectrum, not just the small slither. No, the whole invisible light spectrum, not the small visible spectrum. Right? So when you practice wholeness, when you practice integrity, this is how you tap into spiritual transformation or your divinity. Excuse me. Because you're not thinking that you're by yourself. You're not thinking like, oh, I can just do these things, and even if you do things, you can stand in it. Like, oh, what are you doing? I was having sex with that girl. Oh, I was having sex with that dude. Right? It ain't nothing. This is what I do. That's what I did. I did it. Hey, you know what I'm saying? That's integrity. You do it, you stand in it, you live it. This is what it is. And ain't nothing wrong with that. It's when you thinking that you by yourself and you acting like ain't nobody looking at you. It ain't no such thing as privacy. If y'all knew how easy it is to be seen, if y'all knew how much spiritual shit is happening right in front of your face, you would not act the way that you act. You would literally seek to feed the energies. How do you feed the energies? Incense, sage, water, burning herbs, altar work, oils, fire, being creative, writing a song, performing a song, dancing. Some of y'all got sexy bodies. If you want something to change for your ass, get butt naked and start dancing for Shango. Give Shango a erotic lap dance. He watching your ass anyways. Watching you take a shower. You be like, ooh, one's in the chat. I always feel like somebody watching me. Y'all ever really feel alone when you alone? Or you be like, what the fuck? Y'all hear that? That's because spirits are congruent, layered right on top of this world. If you silence the mind enough, if you lower your emotional frequency enough, if you stop thinking, you can think about anything, but somehow how you thinking and what you're thinking about is the king bee's knees shit of shit to think about. Hey man, I got this idea I was thinking about. I want to share it with you, man. Keep that shit. Never, I was reflecting on the all and I saw me when I saw you. So now I'm going to love you unconditionally as my soul has loved me. Never get them type of conversations. Let's talk about to see. As I stated earlier, verse 1 starts off with I saw. Verse 2 starts off with I saw. That word is a Hebrew word. That word is a Hebrew word, Edon. Edon means I saw, but to behold or to perceive, to look at, to observe, right? Like to see a person, but not just to see them, to meet them, to speak with them, to see, experience, become acquainted with, to look at or towards, to see mentally, to perceive, to examine, to investigate. So when we talk about seeing a holy city and when we talk about seeing a new earth and a new heaven, you can't just see it with these eyes. I need to understand if y'all understand what I'm saying when I say what I say. One's in the chat. Let me know if you understand that. To when they're talking about seeing this new heaven and new earth, when they're talking about seeing this holy city, they're talking about understanding how it works for themselves, right? I saw the holy city. Let's read that again with this clarification. I understand the holy city. I understand the New Jerusalem. I understand coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride, beautifully dressed for her husband. See, I'm not reading that at surface level. I saw it, meaning that I understood it. So I understand being prepared as a bride, beautifully dressed for her husband is allegory because I didn't see it. I saw it. I understood it. I understood this sentence. So if I'm going to understand to be prepared as a bride, beautifully dressed for her husband, then that's a Kabbalistic statement. The Kabbalah, which means to receive, right? And you receive from your soul. It's that simple. But how you going to receive from your soul if you got to fight for the black woman, right? You got to fight for the black man. You got to fight for the black children. You got to fight. You got to fight for women, fight for men, fight for your rights. Okay. All right. After I'm done fighting, because who y'all actually fighting, right? Who's y'all actually mad at? Okay. That's one thing. All right. You don't know. All right. Cool. What's going to happen after y'all done fighting? The fight that you actually not actually fighting. Oh, you ain't thought that far? Because that's an emotional reaction? Oh, they gonna post something on Instagram. They gonna post something on YouTube real soon. And it's going to garner up an emotional reaction. And I need you to understand why. Because if there is no emotional reaction, then there might be some metaphysic understanding of what should be happening, which is us being prepared to receive from our soul. Okay? And to receive from your soul is a present thing, right? It's something that happens all the time. You're never out of the loop. You're only going to be emotionally reacted, angrily, sad, fear, stigmatized into doing some dumb shit. Your emotional reactions, which stem from the past, destroys the present, which then destroys the future. What I'm trying to say is that every day is a new day. Every person is a new person. Every opportunity is a new opportunity. Every opportunity to prepare, to better, to stand up, and to be in a positive state of mind because you are the immortal, powerful soul that you are. You are everything. You are the all. Me, you, everybody, we share the same identical mind. We have different bodies, but that body represents the visible light spectrum, which is so small of a light spectrum. So to explain this, and let me know if you understand this, when they zoom up on the earth and they look down on the earth, are they able to differentiate between white people, black people, oppressed people, rich people, poor people? Yes or no? Can they differentiate the hood from the ghetto when I'm a satellite looking down on the earth? If I can't actually differentiate that from that perspective, why the lower that I get more split into who I am and what I represent. You are the earth. You are the 23.5 degree tilt. You are the electromagnetic spectrum. You are the tree growing up from the ground. That is you. If you jumped up in the air, gravity will pull you right down, or what they call gravity. How about you're deeply connected to the earth? Because imagine this. Millions and millions of years, there wasn't even no such thing called shoes. Have you ever seen an animal put on a shoe? Words in the chat. Yes or no? You ever seen an animal put on a shoe? Where we think we evolve and we actually devolve because we disconnect from the earth magnetic sphere. Y'all have heard this before, but I'm going to say it again. It's a reason that they call the bottom of a shoe a sole. Because it keeps you disconnected. So now you think you're the ego. Now you think you're the body. Now you think you're the vessel, and you've forgotten all about who you are as consciousness. You've forgotten who you are as a spirit. You can't perceive it. It's hard to perceive the magnitude of what you are. But my advice to you is just to be it. If you're able to be it in the moment without reflecting on the small slither of visible light memories, the projector image of what has happened yesterday, if you can let that go, develop a present mind, this is how you spiritually transform. If you minus the emotional reactions, if you have an emotional reaction, identify that emotional reaction, shut the emotional reaction down, and recognize it to be an illusion, then they don't come back. If you're if you're prone to fight off emotional reactions, then they stop happening. If you don't recognize them to be illusions, if you like, no, I gotta fight for the black woman though. No, I have to fight. Who you fighting for the black woman? Them. Who is them? They is who? It's my pronouns. Okay, all right. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening at this point. I am not going to let straight people oppress me. It's like, okay, I was just trying to get a sandwich with my girlfriend. Never mind, I'm gonna just leave it alone. It's weird out here. Even deeper, knowledge and wisdom. These things, in order to spiritually transform, must be overcome. Because the things you have learned, right? The wisdom that you have gained, you're holding on to it. And y'all see these, you ever seen a righteous person and they so out of touch because they dogma and they religion and the things that they know is going to, they drop in allegories and all this type of shit and stories and all this, and it's like, all right, bruh, if you want to be a Hebrew Israelite, be a Hebrew Israelite. Right? Because the energy and the grouping and everybody around them is just cementing this bullshit, and now you just like trapped in a landfill of bullshit and rhetoric, and you can't escape it. Because knowledge and wisdom has to be overcome with intuition and understanding. Can't just constantly throw down the same sentences that you've been throwing down a person's throat. Right? I do these videos to let people know that I'm still expanding. I'm still learning. I'm not living off my rep. I'm not living off of my clout. Right? I ain't never wrote shit. I ain't never done shit. I'm just here in this moment. In the next moment, I'm gonna see what I'm gonna do, and I got a little schedule, right? I also got 4 kids that don't give a fuck about my schedule. So at the same time, you just be present and show up and love unconditionally. That's all you really have to do. Because as the world turns, you'll be a guiding light. But just don't be young and restless. Who got that? One's in the chat if you got that. So, when you spiritually transform, when you in a space for which you are spiritually transformed, you're not exclusive. You're inclusive. You're bringing people in. You're letting people know, hey, I'll show up for you. I love you. If you need me, let me know. Right? When you're not that healed, when you're not in the space of understanding it, you're exclusive. You got your little small circle of friends. If you got friends at all, got your monogamous relationship, you got your job, can't enter the building without a key card. You safe, but you got a little bit more work to do. See, being spiritually evolved is a risk because your soul loves you with a risk. Your soul, you may not even awaken to your soul. 99.9% of the people is not going to awaken to their soul. They're going to be so inundated with the visible light in the astral plane that the science of the soul, which requires you to be present, which requires you to show up, which requires you to love unconditionally, most people too selfish for that. Most people too afraid for that. So it's really important to first have a present relationship with the self and then practice inclusion and practice, because you can't love unconditionally by yourself, right? For too long. You only learn unconditional love from your soul. You don't self-love. You learn that your soul loves you. And your soul loves you because your soul has led you up into this present moment to where you're alive and breathing and well. Okay? That's your soul's doing. That's not your mama, not your daddy, not your uncle, whoever raised you, your friends, the gang never protected you. None of that shit. Your soul and your soul alone loved you unconditionally. Because why? You sat here and said, man, it's the gang that protected me. Thank you, mama. Thank you, mama. Thank you, daddy. Never once do you thank yourself. And yourself don't never say, this nigga, man. Y'all are getting to relationships like, oh, thank you, baby. Oh, I just love my husband so much. I don't know what I'd do without him. Breathe, bitch. You would breathe. That's what you would do without him. You would be breathing. You would be walking. You would be talking. You would still be one with the universe. You'd probably be in a better off situation. Who knows? But the reality of what would I do without this person? No. I'm going to tell you an even scarier thought. What would you do without your soul? Nigga, you wouldn't even exist. Now, if this nigga leave you, yeah, it may hurt that you don't go 50-50 on the rent. You need to find a roommate, right? It may hurt you got to put out a Craigslist ad, but you'll be all right. Your soul safe. You know what? I ain't fucking with you no more, man. Now you don't even got life. That's even scarier. So do not love nobody more than you love your soul. Learn from your soul and just copy. So you go from a human being to a divine being. That's spiritual transformation. What I teach and what I show is consistency in spirituality, right? That's what I teach. That's what I show, right? I don't deviate from the mean. I don't separate. I might get a little ratchet from time to time. Like the Egyptians, they made the pyramids with imperfections. That's how I do it. But at the same time, the majority of just my life and understanding is consistently following my soul, consistently listening to the messages. Like it will be something or somebody, it'll be an angel, it'll be a saint, and I'll just tap into the energy, tap into the frequency, get the downloads, share the downloads, which allowed me to be open and present for more downloads. And I'll just follow my prompts consistently. That's how you go from human being to divine being. And I want to stress that because there is no shortcuts. I want to stress that because there is no emotional backdoor portal for which if you just feel good, if you just buy enough shit along the visible spectrum, that you'll be total and whole again. No, this is an excruciating process that requires you to shut the fuck up and listen. It requires you to not be chasing emotional highs and running from emotional lows. Talking about, baby, can we do this? Baby, can we do that? Oh, I'm mad because you told me no. I'm mad. It ain't that you told me no. It's the way that you told me no. Making up any excuse to be mad, making up any excuse to be angry, right? Forgetting the unconditional love from the soul. And once again, you want to lower your emotional response to things, right? This will help you raise your consciousness, right? So very simply, like, triggered emotions, you gotta get behind those, right? Because other than that, you'll just be chasing shit, right? You'll be chasing, buying shit, looking for shit, following these weird, not even weird. I mean, some of them is some real sexy girls. So I understand why you follow them and think that they know something. Because they sexy and they use Facetune and things of that nature and they speak well. But at the end of the day, you got to get behind your emotional triggers. This is when you want to seek spiritual transformation. This is when you want to go from a human being to a divine being. You have to know that you're a divine being. You have to know the system. And the system is a new system. It's not, well, I'm this type of nigga. I'm this type of girl. I'm this type of person. That's not understanding. That is ego projection, not allowing for the full breadth of spiritual development to take root and take place. So once again, if you want to perceive the spiritual world, understand the emotional reaction to be a block. So once you get behind your emotional reactions and over a consistent amount of time where you're acting and performing in a way for which you're following your soul and things are working out for you and you begin to feel better about your life, you feel better about the future, your emotions begin to not hold you back, right? Because what you're doing is you want to see or perceive the spiritual world. And the reason that you want to do that is the same way you don't walk around with blindfolds. Do any of y'all walk around with blindfolds? Yes or no? Right. So, okay. Well, why do I want to see or perceive the invisible light? Why do I want to understand the spiritual world? I don't know. Why don't you walk around blindfolded? Do any of y'all walk around blindfolded? So what it becomes is a daily, successive, repetitive process of understanding what you are seeing mentally. And this is very important because when we do not see mentally, when we don't meditate and be in a higher state of consciousness, we are not looking at life in its fullness and even seeing ourselves. You should reflect on your soul because your soul knows. Now, the emotions of fear, your soul, yeah, you need to move. Well, what am I doing? I'm moving. Oh, you need to break up with this nigga. But what if what if I don't find nobody else? He treats you like shit. Yeah, but yeah, you need to stop. Your soul always telling you what to do, but it's always like, yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, but Why? Because the spiritual world and the physical world, they run congruent to one another. They are one and the same. So I want to end with this to kind of help you. There's a sun, there's a moon, there's a day, there's a night. You also have a personality associated with both energies. Get acquainted to your lunar self. Get acquainted with your feminine energy. We are so fixated with our solar and masculine energy that the lunar and feminine nighttime magic sorcerer energy, it's never fully worked with. It's never fully fleshed out or understood. So one of the things that we do on this channel, one of the things that I strive to do is assist people in understanding who they are from this perspective. So at night, the stars are out, the planets are out. So your astrology is dealing with your lunar. At night, we get a little freaky, get a little freaky deaky. So the lunar is dealing with your sexual life, right? And you could be a freaky deaky girl that's getting into some freaky shit, right? And then show up in the daytime like, hi, my name is Pam. Nice to meet you. It's so nice to meet you, brother beloved. Hashay, hotep, right? Get into the lunar energy. You be like, bend over. Like, girl, what the fuck? Ain't nobody, what you mean bend over? Man, I ain't never heard no girl told me to bend over, girl. I don't like that at all. Pam, so nice to meet you, Ashe, beloved. Get the fuck out of here, Pam. So what I'm saying is, the more that you understand and more that you get a full understanding of who you are lunarly, incorporate that in your solar. Incorporate that in your masculine. Become the integral person. Because it's not about what you do. It's what you do that you hide and what you do that you sneaky about, or the parts of you that want to be out, right? But you suppress them. It's a lot that we could talk about, but I don't feel like we could talk about it in a video. This is why I do what I do as far as whiterabbitpsych.com, where we provide microdose capsules and fruit to help people with their mental health and really heal that part of them that really only the psilocybin can heal, you know. Reason why I put out the books that I put out, such as Chakra Nova, Astrology Explained, the last book that I put out, You Are a Spiritual Being Having a Human Experience, the Shadow Work Journal. I put these books out, and I cannot do the work for you. Let's be clear about that. But I do like to provide the tools, and I do like to show up for y'all consistently, and just let y'all know that yes, I'm still here, and the work that I've done has led me to this point, and I'm gonna continue to progress and talk about things that I understand through the work that I've been doing, right? None of the things that I talk about, I haven't experienced and continuously and constantly work and correspond and put together to whereas we can understand and learn this world and learn ourselves. But there are just some major like gateways and roadblocks to all of the things. And those roadblocks are your emotions. You actually feeling like what you reading on Instagram, the shade room, got you tight, right? It's a certain level where if we experience every tragedy and the worst tragedy in the world as spiritual beings, we should understand that we are immortal, we are timeless, and if we leave out of our bodies, we didn't die. We just exist in another visible or invisible light spectrum that's not easily perceived. It's not impossible to perceive, but it's just not easily perceived. So the work that I do is for people who want to see, right? For people who want to see, for people who want to understand for themselves. Now, I understand that that's not everybody, and people want me to show up and do the work for them and, you know, tell them what to do and shit like that. I understand that. But, you know, I had to get this shit out the mud. So, you know, if I and for real, I've actually thought about ways for which I could, by wiping my ass, your ass would become clean. Still working on like the prototype and the patent to like put this shit down, but I haven't yet figured out how by me wiping my ass, your ass get clean. So until I figure that out, y'all just gonna have to take the instructional manuals on how to wipe your ass your damn self. With that being said, this has been another edition of Hood in the Morning. I'm your host, the Hood Mystic. Tomorrow, I don't know what I'll talk about or if I'll talk about anything at all, but subscribe to my channel just in case I do go live. Appreciate y'all for watching, being good sports, answering the questions. Support the channel, please. Appreciate everybody who does. If it wasn't for y'all supporting this channel, I would not be here today. So I want to thank y'all. And if you're thinking about it, if you like content like this, and you find this content to be valuable, and this content helps you, I'm not going to twist your arm. I'm not going to force you. But, you know, think about supporting this channel so I can be as consistent as I need to be for the collective. Peace. I love you all. Have a great and wonderful day. See you soon.
Don't believe the box will put
You
in.
are
But
now
life is so
tapped.
short that you can't.
You are now tapped in with the the Hood Mystic.
You are now tapped in with Hood in the Morning.
Waking up the masses.
When you wake up in the morning,
It's your baby mama's favorite astrologer.
like, can I get 5 more men?
Scrape that crust off that third eye and tap in with Hood in the morning. From Atlantis to Egypt, you are now tapped in with the realest nigga on the internet, the Hood Mystic. The Hood Mystic.